What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 15 of the Men's Club podcast. I'm Jordan.
TJ.
And Pops.
And we're actually going to address it this time. As you can tell, we're missing one. We had some technical difficulties, and he couldn't make it back for the second recording. Technical difficulties, again, meaning that I'm an idiot.
Take two.
Yeah, take two. Take two. We're going to do a little bit different format than we did it when he was here. We're just going to jump right into it. We've been discussing the upcoming holiday seasons. I say upcoming like it's not in 2 months. So, October 31st, Halloween. Easily one of our favorite holidays. Yeah, that's why. We were actually discussing our favorite movies.
Scary movies.
Scary movies.
I thought we was discussing our favorite candy.
Not yet.
I thought this was the candy episode.
This is not the candy
not today.
episode.
Although, candy corn, bomb. Anyone who says it's not, you're a liar and you're lying to yourself.
Candy corn.
Nasty.
Nasty.
It's delicious. When I was a child, I was like, this is good. And then my taste buds grew in, and I was like, this is not
The
good.
only
So
Halloween
great.
candy worse than candy corn.
Licorice.
No.
I love black licorice.
Apples with razor blades in them. That's all I'm thinking. It's tops candy corn.
I actually talked about that yesterday.
No. The orange nasty peanut.
Oh, the orange peanuts. I like them too.
Yeah, I like circus peanuts. No, we talked about that yesterday. I was like, growing up, because we were talking about like fears and like nightmares and stuff that we've had. I was like, growing up, I was legitimately terrified of like people putting stuff in my candy. And for my parents, it was like drugs. They're going to put drugs in your kids' candy. And for me, it was like razor blades. There's going to be a razor blade in this.
Cyanide.
We know here's my thing.
And then I got older. And as I got older, I realized nobody's putting drugs in anybody's candy.
Well, that's what I was about to say. All these parents are afraid, they're going to put drugs in my kids' candy. They're going to put drugs in my kids. Who's giving away drugs? I can see them putting a poison in a candy. I can see them putting something that's going to hurt you in a candy because people are evil.
But they're not
Who's
going to put
putting drugs in
candy?
candy?
And here's my thing, and don't bomb the comments with, I know my second cousin removed twice that got a razor blade and an apple, but, we saw this stuff on the news when we was growing up, but no one you ever knew ever had that happen to.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it definitely on the news, like, razor blades found in candy, but, like, I've never personally experienced a razor blade in my candy.
My favorite meme that comes around during the Halloween season is always, well, my kid found an M1 Abrams and they're kept in their box of nerds.
Yeah.
And it's an M1 Abrams with a box of nerds stuck to the end of it.
But, granted, I never went trick-or-treating because my parents were terrified of people putting razor blades in my candy, so my grandparents all just bought a bunch of candy, and they were like,
You never went trick-or-treating?
not door-to-door. I went to family houses and stuff, but I've never been
Alright,
door-to-door.
well, that's kind of what we did, and then we did the trunk or treat.
Yeah, I've done trunk-or-treat.
So y'all don't know what it's like to go up,
Stranger,
like you're homeless,
yeah, no.
just begging for food.
No, never did that.
I did. We had an apartment complex. You just walk around the apartment complex and just hit up every door. You may get, like a thing of candy corn, or you may get a thing of pork and beans. You never
I
know.
was going to say, somebody be like, was that today? Here, and use like corn pops.
It's crazy.
Box of cereal.
And it's crazy because, like I said, like at the apartment building and things like that, it was kind of a genuine thing. If you was going to be participating in Halloween that year, you left your porch light on, and if you had your porch light off, you didn't stop. But nowadays that gets you your house egg.
or robbed.
Oh, hands down though, best Halloween candy, caramel apple suckers.
Yeah, I can get on board with that.
Hands down,
love
best
them.
Halloween candy. Rich people that put out bowls of full-size Snickers.
Yeah, that's nice too. When you go and you expect to get the little bite-sized stuff, and they just dump a whole just like case of the full size.
Like they bought a dealer crate. It's like, here you go.
Well, the thing was crazy when I got older. Of course, when you get older and you get out of that, you start doing the whole rolling yards and
I'm gonna say egging people
and doing all that stuff. Well, we had a family, husband and wife, who were actually teachers in this area, who figured out a way because teachers' houses were always like
It was like number one target.
that's where we're going. We got to get them. Well, they got tired of cleaning up the toilet paper every year, so basically they started cooking like the day before, and they cooked cakes and pies and good stuff. Opened the front door, had tables setting out everywhere, and said, if y'all want to roll our house or do something to our house, y'all can all come and eat this stuff. And, and they'd be like 40 to 100 people at their house eating this food.
Just having a freaking Halloween party.
Never got their house rolled ever again. And I was like, that is ingenious.
I've seen.
Yeah, I can just imagine, like, if y'all were to do it, out on the front porch, got the white fold-out table out there with the newspaper on top, just dumping shrimp.
I've seen where teachers will do, instead of rolling their house, because they know the kids are going to buy toilet paper anyway, they'll put up signs when they get to their house, like, if you just leave the roll here, you'll get an A on your next test grade. And they don't ever have to buy toilet paper.
Now with the coronavirus and everything, everybody's like, oh, we ain't rolling nobody. We'll keep that stuff.
No yards. You may get forked. You may get forked. We ain't rolling no yards. Oh, man. Hilarious. I mean, just since we're here, the stories that we have of catching people trying to roll this yard. Oh, it was ridiculous.
Well, it never was fair, number one.
Yeah.
After y'all started playing football and I was coaching, so the whole family was away during the month of October. So it was like every Friday night I would come home to a rolled yard.
Yeah.
And that was, but before that, prior to that, we would catch them all the time. But after that, I was like, oh, Coach Turfel and Jordan Bailey are going to the game, and Lisa's with them. So let's just all go over and spend 3.5 hours making sure that he has nothing to do Saturday but pick up toilet paper. Okay, let's go back next Friday and do it again.
Yeah. But we'd find them. I mean, even once football season had started, we started finding ways. Like we started using trick lights and stuff, and it was ridiculous. Especially like our ex-girlfriends and stuff, they were bad to do it. Mm-hmm. Not when they were, when they were dating us, and
that's how after y'all, dumped them and they were mad.
Yeah. That's how we ended up with the like 5 boxes of cereal dumped out in our yard.
Yes, that was a nightmare.
They were trying to diet, and it doesn't work. Like that trick that you've all heard. Oh, you just dump the tricks out and it dyes the yard. That doesn't happen though. It just molds on the ground.
No, it turns your yard into an Alfred Hitchcock. We had the crows and the birds out there in the middle of
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Or ants.
Yeah, it's just, you look out there and they'd be like 40 crows and they're just getting fat.
The toilet paper, though, like, I just leave it. The rain will dissolve it.
No, it doesn't. It turns into a clump of mess. You got to try to mow over in spring.
Favorite one though was when you'd always catch our cousins, and we made them stay in the middle of the night and clean it up.
Yeah, like they're slick. Yeah, like you live next door. What do you think? Like,
well, full disclosure to those cousins, and I know they don't watch this, but if they ever do watch it, your parents sold you out. They would call and let us know when you was coming.
Yeah,
so. it was always we knew.
Yeah, it was
you
a
going
setup.
There. Yeah, y'all were guinea pigs. You just didn't realize it.
You were in the middle of an entrapment craze. Is what was going on. They would convince you to come down here, knowing we was about to terrorize you.
Yes.
I mean, we sat out there with loudspeakers playing like the Halloween theme and stuff, and it was just coming around the house. It was. Which, I mean, to be fair, when me and Bailey were younger, Mama and Papa were able to get around enough that they did that to us. Mm-hmm. The worst one, though, was John. Hands down. Him standing in that driveway trying to crank that chainsaw scared me to death. I will never forget that.
oh, okay. So on that vein, since we're talking about like getting scared now, when I was a kid, like 5, 6, 7, just old enough to start remembering like going, we would go to dad's, Papa's, and he always put this like old flannel shirt, pants, boots with a gorilla mask, and it would fill it full of leaves every year.
Mm-hmm.
And the first year, I was like, oh my God, this guy's so scary, so scary. Well, after about 3 or 4 years, I was like, oh, you put the leaves out, and I would like go punch it, and it would have leaves in it. Well, like year 4 or year 5 of doing this, I'm like 9 or 10 years old.
He wore the clothes.
I go up there to punch it, and he grabs me, and I thought I died. Like, I legit felt my soul leave my body for a second and then come back. Like, I've never been so scared in my life to be so sure that it's nothing and then get grabbed. Like, uh-oh, I've made a mistake.
Pawpaw did essentially the same thing, except his, instead of a gorilla mask, it was a cane mask. And you know that's horrifying.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
For you younger viewers, Kane used to be a wrestler.
Yes.
When it was the WWF.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was World
And,
Wrestling Federation
And
at that
it was
time.
a red-looking mask with crazy hair and stuff.
I would say, think Sting, and then it was red instead of white, which is very much what it is.
Yeah.
It was like
But
Leatherface.
they don't know what Sting is either.
That too. Think Leatherface, but like painted up, pretty much.
That's another episode. Name historic wrestlers throughout
Yeah.
the years.
Oh man, I was actually reading a biography on one that died the other day during a WrestleMania. Or no, it was it was before SmackDown and Raw.
Well, someone did die during WrestleMania.
This was but he was supposed to be doing a descent from the rafters.
That's hard.
Yep.
Yeah, it was hard.
Yeah.
And just fell off the line.
Yep.
It had a quick release on it, and they think that he was adjusting to get comfortable, and the quick release just let go.
Let go of, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's another guy, I'm pretty sure they broke his neck and thought he was just messing. Like, they played around with him for a little bit thinking he was just goofing. It's like, oh, he's dead.
No, that did not happen with Hart, because as soon as he started falling, they were like, he's going to die.
Oh, yeah, no, that one was awful because he flipped, like, from the top of the
70,
stadium.
73 feet is
Yeah.
how far he fell.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
That's
Tragedy.
insane. I mean, there's been a lot of tragedies like that, though.
All right, so back on Halloween.
Yeah,
Back
moving
on Halloween.
the other way.
Favorite. And let me. I guess I need to really clarify this because some people at this table likes to get off on media genre. Favorite scary movie of all time. Now, when I say favorite, it's not necessarily has to be the one that scared you the most. Not favorite, most memorable.
Yeah.
Most
memorable scary movie that you remember. I mean, the one that sticks out in your. When you say scary movie, the one that sticks out in your head the most.
Oh, that one's easy for me. It hands down, Scream.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason being, I watched it when I was real young. Probably again too young to be watching Scream, but Ghostface is just such a memorable character.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you start learning what's going on with it, where there's two guys and they're both Ghostface, and it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But the comedy side of it made the scary side of it a lot easier to handle when you were younger. So it worked out great for me. So as soon as I hear scary movie, I think Ghostface. So Scream.
If we're talking most memorable, I'm going to have to say probably my first scary movie that I can remember watching, The Anaconda.
Now, is that the Anaconda with
Owen Wilson.
but is it Ice-T or one
Yeah.
of them in it or something?
The original Anaconda with the big, disgusting, doesn't look real snake. But when you're like a baby, you're like that, or a very close runner-up. I remember when I was younger, we had the safety locks on the satellite box, the parental locks, and Predator came on. And Dad wanted me to watch Predator, but I couldn't watch it because my TV couldn't watch like that movie, like R-rated movies. And so he put the code in, or tried to put the code in. He forgot the code, so he put it on in his bedroom and let me go in his bedroom and watch it. And that's a good movie. They skin people in that movie.
What kind of Nazi house do you live in with a parental lock up on your TV?
Especially, okay, so the parental lock, to my knowledge, was software. Whereas when you did your hands and you said parental lock, it was like actual like
padlock on the box. You know?
There's like a cage that the TV was in. No. It's like a software. No. We didn't have a lock. Had to go pull start a generator or anything. Not like that.
We're going to watch the news. Turn the satellite.
No, not like that.
NASA links up, you know.
No, it was the 4-digit passcode.
Yeah. Predator and Alien, definitely great.
Yeah, but would that
Horror
be
movies,
considered?
They are.
They're sci-fi horror. They're sci-fi horror.
Sci-fi horror.
They're
okay.
sci-fi horror. Even though, truly and honestly, at the time they were sci-fi horror. But if you were to re-release them today, they would fit more into the action category than they would the horror.
Well, Alien is true deep space horror. Predator is an action movie. Because Alien 1, Alien 2 is an action movie, but Alien 1 is an actual horror movie, like in the vein of Jaws. Matter of fact, whichever one came first very much inspired the other with the whole not showing your
Jaws came first.
not
Jaws
showing your
first.
monster, having it do stuff in
and that's
behind the scenes.
It's kind of like we were talking about earlier this week. You know, the Xenomorph now, it's almost as recognizable as Mike Myers, Jason.
Yeah, you're talking about the
Yeah, people don't know it by its name, but if you say the alien, they'll be like, oh, I know what you're talking about.
The alien is actually called the Xenomorph.
Yeah.
That is the name of the alien race.
Yeah.
Because the Predator was the name of that alien race.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just really good.
Yeah, no, the best movie out of that whole series was Alien versus Predator.
That was a good movie.
That was a very good movie when they finally actually brought them both together and let them go at
Let them
each
fight,
other.
Let them fight. Not only that, but they brought the Predator versus the Queen.
Well,
That was amazing.
And you got to see the different, not only the different types of the aliens, but you got to see the different types of the predators too.
The way they hunted.
And you know, there's an anarchy inside itself, and that you know, it's kind of a cool
You mean a
concept.
hierarchy?
I mean hierarchy.
Yeah, like especially right there at the end when they bring in the Predator ship, and then
Yeah.
you see the full gold
Yeah.
Predator, and you're like, oh, he's the chieftain.
Well,
Yeah,
you got to
and
see
it's-
that all the way back in Predator 2 is when they first teased it because there's an alien skull on the wall and in the ship. And after was it Glover? Is he the one that's in that movie? And he beats the one, and they all start turning off their invisibilities. They've been watching the whole time, and he's like, "Oh no!" But they hand him that revolver. It's like a Colt Navy revolver.
Yeah.
Pretty much letting him know like we've been here a long time.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what they dove into that. The fact is, they were there during the Mayans and all that. You know,
Well,
they've been there since the beginning of time.
You know, that's the thing in Alien vs. Predator is actually that it's a Mayan-style pyramid that they're visiting in Antarctica.
Yeah, up underneath the ice. Yeah.
Yeah, that they found using sonar
It was
technology.
and that was their hunting ground.
Yeah.
Basically, you know, because they was able to hold them there and then turn one loose to
To hunt it. Yeah.
yeah.
All right, so we've both gone.
Cujo.
It's still the most.
It's still Cujo. I mean, it'll always be Cujo. That's the one that I think of. I mean, big butt dog that eats you alive. I mean, Cujo. You know, that's one of them things that you can go down to about any house in the South and find a backwoods white trash trailer, and he's a big dog lady.
Probably got rabies. I mean,
Go up to our house, and they're about 6. So.
But I mean, no. See, those dogs are little compared to Cujo.
big dog.
Here's the best part about our dogs, too. We've got a German Shepherd, 2 Golden Retrievers, and 2 Yorkies.
And the Yorkies run the show.
Yorkies are likely to eat you alive. The 3 big dogs, don't care. But that Belle, she is going to bite you.
Okay.
At some point in your life, if you come around my house, Belle will bite you.
Yeah.
Oh, I got one. I got a horror movie.
Okay.
What you got?
And this is one that if it was released today.
We're like pitching a script right now. Like this is your movie. We're gonna
No. This one's already happened.
Okay.
If it was released today, nobody would blink an eye at it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
when
yeah.
it was released, it was such. I mean, it even received an X rating the first time they ran it through. Gremlins.
Really, I didn't know it got an X.
It
I did
had
not
an
know
X
that.
rating when it first went through because at that time it was one of the most violent movies that had ever been made.
They play that crap on Disney now.
Yeah, I was
that's
saying,
what I'm
Mom let
saying.
me watch that movie because of Furbies. Furbies were a thing.
Yeah.
Like, this is where this comes from. She was like, watch. They turn into like monsters, and I'm like,
But it was, you know, when they first ran the film through the Motion Picture Association,
Yeah.
they wanted to give it an X, so they had to go back and do some changing in the film to make it a PG. I think it was a PG-13 at that time.
Yeah.
It was one of the first times a PG-13 movie come out. But Gremlins today would not even get an IBAT. You know,
No,
and so send it straight to television.
yeah, it'd be a straight television
Well, it's on
movie. and it'd
Disney
probably be
Channel.
Well, I mean, you know, 'cause that's the thing. As far as I can remember, I don't remember. You know, there wasn't any profanity in it. You know, I don't remember any in it.
it was implied because Stripe, like the main
Yeah,
gremlin,
yeah.
would do weird stuff.
But you know, just the simple fact of the violent nature of the
Yeah.
movie was the reason why they done that. You know, well, I'll give you another, which this is getting off the horror side of it, that received the next rating. Red Dawn received the next rating. The first
Really?
time through, yeah.
that I could
never knew
see with
that.
it being like a war kind of.
It was, and you know, it was during the Cold War and all that
Yeah.
stuff, and the killing in it.
Yeah.
They wanted to give it one then because of the violent side of it. But I mean, those are two movies now that
You don't
in
bat-
their,
well, I mean,
yeah, you don't bat an eye at.
Well, I mean, you take Red Dawn and put it against Jigsaw.
Or take Red Dawn and put it against Last Blood.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, true.
Well, and that's like talking about stuff from that same time period. Cannibal Holocaust went to court.
Yeah.
Like, it was a big deal because they thought they actually killed all those people. They had to bring the actors in and be like, they're all still here.
Here they are.
And they thought, because one woman gets impaled, and they thought that she had like a twin or something, and that he was trying to pass it off. So he had to show in court how they pulled that scene off because they still didn't believe it with her standing there.
No, I mean, it's insane what actually happened back then, but now they've CGI, practical effects, everything's come so far, and everybody just knows that that's what it is.
Well, that's why I like Saw's the practical. Like, practical effects always look better than CGI.
Well,
yeah.
you know, what Saw was so, you hate to say it this way, I guess, was so ingenious in the way that
Yeah.
they tortured people.
Well, the way it is now, because of the success of the first one, it spawned this thing where now it has to be gory, it has to be bloody, it has to be nasty. And it looks like any trope, like your slashers, right? So like your Texas Chainsaw. I mean, when that came out, everyone was like, "Well, we have to do that now. Like, we can't not do that," you know. And so, but yeah, like with Saw, like it's all practical. There's no CGI, like
No.
at all. All of the traps are real. Matter of fact, the reverse bear trap, the big one in the first movie, there was a short that James Wan and that other guy whose name I can never remember made in Australia in college for like a project. They paid a friend of theirs in machine shop $5,000 to make this, and they're like, "I want it to work." And so this thing that they're wearing, the only thing that keeps from killing them is they've disconnected the timer from the release. Like, if it were to ever fail, they would die.
But I mean, there's just there's a lot of movies out there. It's kind of like you said that they kind of got, okay, this one was the first one, so we've got to copy this.
Yeah.
And they do that for a certain period of time, and then somebody comes out with something different that's better.
Well, that's like you look at
those movies will go for a while.
Well, you look at Blair Witch. You know, Blair Witch was like when it first
Blair
came
Witch
out.
was a nausea-inducing piece of garbage.
And I'm not saying it was good, but when
No,
it came out,
I
people were
hated
like,
that.
"Wait a second, like found footage, like this is real, like just somebody on their video camera." And now look at all the like Paranormal Activity.
Well, that's actually what I was about to say is not necessarily in the... I don't really put Paranormal Activity in the same vein as Blair Witch because Blair Witch was very found footage, running through the woods, shaky cam. That's what's supposed to make it scary is that you can't ever see nothing.
yeah.
Whereas
Well, and the
with,
fact that it's like a handy cam, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to, yeah.
Whereas with Paranormal Activity, these were all security cameras that were set up around the house.
Yeah,
So they were
yeah.
very steady, and that's what really started that genre of its own.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that they were steady, but they still looked grainy.
Mm-hmm.
Like it,
Well, what kills me though is like with Paranormal Activity. It spawned like what 4 or 5 TV shows.
Yeah.
Where they're searching for the ghost. They get their little meters out and they get a couple of clicks, and it's always, "What was that?
no,
Run it back. Did you hear that? No, I didn't."
I didn't hear things.
You know, it's like searching for Bigfoot. They
Yeah.
searched for 6 years for Bigfoot.
Never found him.
Guess what happens at the end of it? Didn't find him.
no.
You know,
Well, that's The Modern Rogue is another YouTube channel, and they do a lot of cool stuff. They actually showed how those shows make their scares, and a lot of it really isn't fake in terms of the people on the show, like the stars, really aren't acting. Like they really legitimately believe that weird stuff's happening. But what's happening is the producers, like, we have to amp ratings. Don't tell them, but PA, come here. And they're like, yes, sir. And they're like, all right, you're not gonna say anything to anybody. But when we get them in here, you're gonna go over there and like throw a plate across the room and run off.
See, I would love to be the producer of that show because I'd be like, PA, come here. He's like, yeah, what's up? It's like, all right, don't tell anybody. We're going to get them in the room. You're going to go up on that balcony, and you're going to shoot that one in the back of the head. Dude just got a flare sticking out of his head. Everybody's screaming.
I mean, that's just like, there was one, and I cannot remember the name of this show. If somebody knows it, you can put it in the comments. They were hunting monsters. Mm-hmm. They went all over the United States. I think they went up into Canada and places. And, they'd be like chupacabra.
Oh yeah, looking for all the different Jersey Devil.
And they, when they would build these elaborate traps for these. I mean, and I watched it not because I knew they weren't going to catch nothing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even if they caught it, it was going to break out of the trap.
Well, yeah.
I mean, but my thing, I said I watched these traps. I'm like, these guys are getting paid to play.
And I'll go back to the conversation that me, him, and Bailey were actually sitting around watching one of these shows at one time, and we were like, screw it, we're starting one of these shows.
Yes.
And this was our premise. It's like, all right, these guys are hunting ghosts. We're going to call ours.
Well, hold on, before we did that, what it came about, we had like 6 shows hunting ghosts, right? There was another show, a bunch of Southern guys, they were trying to trap ghosts.
That's what this was.
They would make like a box to go into these haunted places and basically trap the spirits to set them free. And what had happened was we were watching Insidious 2, and it was the scene where she's running into the kitchen, that dude just throws a tea kettle at the back of her head.
So we decided at that point, all right, fist fighting ghosts. That's what we're doing.
We're gonna roll up in the haunted house, be like, "Hey, yo, ghost, if you bad, come step. Let me pull my shirt off. I want to catch me just fist fighting a ghost."
That's my thing. They were always trying to trap it. They was always trying to trap this monster. Nobody ever thought about just shooting it.
There was one show. They all carried rifles and they were trying to kill Bigfoot.
Yes.
And I'm like, just kill it. That's all the evidence you need is a dead body of a monster.
Well, so we apologize. More technical difficulties.
We can't do a show without technical difficulties.
We can't do it.
But what I was saying was, that's where all these shows killed me. We'd watch it every week, try to find out if they're going to find Bigfoot this time. You can't tell me that 6 months ago when they filmed this, if they had found Bigfoot, it would have made you.
Yeah, it would be on.
We already know about it. They weren't hiding that. You know who wins Big Brother 6 months into it.
Well, it's like any prequel movie. Like if you're trying to do a prequel movie where you're going back to the origin, and a prime example of this, I watched Leatherface, because Leatherface, for those of y'all that don't know, Texas Chainsaw has 6 timelines because they just keep redoing it. Well, Leatherface goes all the way back to the first movie. It is a prequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that's cool, and it's a really good movie, but they hinge it on the fact that how this movie's going to end because Texas Chainsaw Massacre exists, right?
Yeah.
So, you can't have this, is he going to make it? Is he going to get to become the killer?
A big ending.
Yeah, you can't have a twist. Yeah, you cannot have a twist in a movie like that because you know what happens next.
Well, I mean, it was... going back to Star Wars.
I was just saying now, I was bring up the same thing about Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars, you could do that in their prequels because the fact is it was all new to us because of where we started at in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Well, you could have certain twists.
Well,
but there was one twist that you knew was coming.
Well, you could have twists related to the actual story, right? You couldn't have a twist related to the new stuff.
You knew Anakin was going to be Vader.
Yes.
One way or another, he's going to become Vader. But the thing was, getting him there.
Yes.
And I've bashed on the first 3, and when I say the first 3, episode 1, 2, and 3, I've bashed on them. But in reality, they had to happen.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they did complete the story. We knew that Anakin was going to be, Vader. But how he got there, I mean, I think the pod racing was a good little twist that they thrown in there.
Well, here's the thing with it. Ultimately, the biggest twist out of the prequels, and it wasn't even on the same par as I Am Your Father, was the fact that Palpatine was the Emperor. Mm-hmm. You know, and he had spent this entire time, you know, we only knew him as Darth Sidious and the Emperor. Mm-hmm. So keeping him as Palpatine throughout the Senate years and playing him as a good guy right up until Anakin started turning to the dark side.
Well, a great guy. Yeah. We knew he wasn't good just by the way he acted.
Yeah. But, like, even going so far as, like, when he's got his hood on, having him do his face funny so that, you know, whenever you see him not in his uniform, it's like, they look, like, is this guy? And then he'll do something like, okay, that's not the guy. And then seeing, like, how he gets twisted. And that's what I was going to say, like, and Leatherface has a twist in it, too, and I won't spoil it because it's a pretty new movie, but it's along that same vein. There's a twist. I guess what I'm saying is you can have a twist as long as it pertains to what you're watching. You can't have a twist pertaining to where you're headed.
Yes.
Because you know where you're headed.
Yeah, the ending can't change because the ending's already there.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas the middle section can. You can make adjustments to that.
Exactly.
You looking it up?
I never watched that.
It's actually really good.
2017.
No.
Texas Chainsaw 3D, okay movie. It is also in the same new timeline. It's Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw 3D. 3D's okay. It's a fun watch. It makes no sense. And matter of fact, there's a huge plot holes because the grandma's still alive, and in Texas Chainsaw 1, she's a corpse. You see her corpse. You can't explain that away.
My thing, though, you saying 3D lost me.
Yeah,
nobody should watch movies in 3D.
Yeah, the 3D, the 3D part of it, I did not watch. But yeah, it's,
well, I mean,
it's
that's always
okay.
the thing is it's called Texas Chainsaw 3D. You ain't got to watch it in 3D though.
Yeah, and that's like you know, you've got 3 or 4 different timelines related to the first one. Honestly, some of the best Texas Chainsaw is the reboot with R. Lee Ermey. I actually really like those, where it's just its own self-contained thing. Those are actually really good because R. Lee Ermey. He's almost worse than Leatherface in those movies. He's rough.
But no, I mean that's the thing with all the point that we're making here is that you can't change the ending when you already know what's happening next. And that was what happened with Star Wars. You could have some twists up until the very end of it, and then you're like, well, it's cool to see him in a suit for the first time, but we knew it was coming.
Yeah, we knew this was where it was going.
But here's the thing, though. Even though us older Star Wars fans that grew up watching it, which you grew up watching it, but you didn't grow up watching it.
Like in theaters, yeah.
The moment in episode 3, at the end of it, when you first hear that,
yeah, that was dope for me.
you get chills,
Yeah.
because you know what it is.
Yeah.
And then when they you know, it kind of flashed and panned at the same time, and you see him laying there. And also when they raise him up and you see him, and it's like, this was even more spectacular to see than it was the very first time we saw him when he stepped through the ship after they cut the door down. When he stepped through there,
Well,
I mean, it's like, wow, this is what he was supposed to look like.
Well, you know, that's the thing. When they did that, his character was already established, so you know who it was. The nostalgia was there. But what really got me about that scene is the first thing that he did when he woke up as the new Darth Vader.
Yeah, he wasn't even like
wasn't-
Vader yet at that
Yeah,
point.
then
He
he
wasn't-
wasn't, because he still hadn't, even though he had turned to the dark side.
Well, that's the thing. He had already started being called Darth Vader.
Yeah, but
he was already known as Darth Vader.
But he
when,
wasn't Vader.
No. When he gained the suit is when he was Vader, and you could tell when he woke up and his first thought was just to scream. That's not what he wanted.
What had happened was when he woke up, the very first thing he asked is like,
Where's Padme?
"Where's Padme?" And
then to get told that he killed her.
yeah.
You know, that was the scream.
You were too much.
And the power release. That's when you see the power release and everything, you know, gets just crumpled around him.
Yeah.
That's when he became Vader.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that was the moment that he said, "Okay, I'm evil.
Pain's too much.
I'm gonna wear it. You know,
Yeah.
and this is what I'm gonna do." But
Well, that's like a lot of people don't know unless you follow the expanded universe. That bubble that he's in is basically like a therapy room because he's in constant pain.
right
Yeah.
all the time, because when he removes the suit, you know, that's when he gets in the bubble. The bubble actually becomes the suit because he can't wear the suit all the time because of the recharging of it has to be done.
Yeah.
So he has to stay in the bubble because if he gets out of it, he'll die.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it is. Is it's a not really a stasis chamber. It's, how do I put this? It is like a mobile hospital.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. You know, and
That's
exactly
what
we
the
went
suit
from
is,
Halloween
too.
back to Star Wars.
We do it, man.
because that's just like when Luke goes to rescue him
Mm-hmm.
It's Jedi, right? Yeah.
6, yeah.
Yeah, Return of the Jedi.
And he says, "I'm already dead,"
Yeah.
Yeah.
or "I'm already dying."
Mm-hmm.
He knew that he was dying because the bubble was deteriorating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, that in itself is a moment in itself, because the fact is, because at that time, and I you can go back through some of the expanded universe and stuff, and a lot of it's not canon, and you go back and research that, and the fact is that he was able to link with Luke like he was. He knew from that he hadn't done the things that he was told that he had done,
Yeah.
and that his kids had survived,
Yeah.
and that that his wife had lived to birth,
Yeah.
and which is a whole nother. I've got a gripe about that. I mean,
Broken
heart. Yeah.
I mean, come on. They're in space. They're flying around. They've got lightsabers. They've got laser guns.
Let's
They
be
can't
real
keep
here.
this woman alive.
She saddened herself to death.
they can't keep this woman alive.
Darth Maul, cut in half, survives.
Survives.
Darth
Spoiler.
Vader, burned to a crisp
In a volcano.
in a volcano planet.
Survives.
Padme gets sad,
Dies.
Well, and that too, and this is, the Marvel comics
Well,
and canon.
it goes back to the whole thing of, you can survive anything but a broken heart.
Yeah.
That's what that was.
and the Marvel comics are canon, and then we really see Darth Vader be Darth Vader when I think he's back on Tatooine, and he's surrounded by soldiers, and he's like, "We have you surrounded," and he's like, "The only thing I'm surrounded by is fear and dead men."
One of the most hardcore lines out of any comic books, to be honest. But back to Halloween.
Yeah,
We've-
back to
we've
Halloween, back to
strayed so
horror. We
far.
always get on Star Wars.
Yeah, we've strayed so far, but so you went with Cujo.
Yes.
Yes, so
Big dog eats your face off.
Yeah, and that was kind of the thing. One of the other big ones that we talked about earlier this week when we were doing this the first time. Again, I'm an idiot. But The Strangers,
Yeah.
man, that's a good movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Second one's not as good.
I haven't watched 2.
It's not as good.
Yeah, it's not as. I mean, I've actually started watching that movie twice, and I've never made our way through it because I found something better to do.
Yeah, not
Well,
as
I
good.
mean, The Strangers won though.
Well,
And
Strangers
it was-
1 broke all expectations of what you think of being a suspenseful horror movie is,
Yeah.
because, like we discussed, the zero dialogue that carried on so much of the
Yeah, it came out right in the peak of the torture
screams
craze
and all that business
with them just bloody, disgusting, and this really
Well-
wasn't that bloody or disgusting. It was just, what is going on?
Well, I mean, that was the big thing with it, is it was such a psychological horror and such psychological torture that we're not used to seeing. We were used to seeing break their bodies. We were never used to seeing break their spirits.
like cutting phone lines, cutting power lines, stealing car keys, car tires are being slashed.
And
like-
oh my lord, just sitting on a swing set and swinging back and forth, real creepy like.
I told you though, not in the South, baby.
No, you get gunned
not
down.
in the South. You get a bullet. You got there on my swing set at night with a flour sack on your head. You getting a bullet.
Yeah.
I'm not even asking no questions.
Why you here?
Now you ain't getting that. I'm just cracking the door enough to stick a barrel out of it. I'll go ahead and ask why you here when you laying there.
The problem with that though is there was 2 more of them.
I got plenty. Evidently, you don't know how many rounds I have.
Well, you didn't. The thing is, at that point, you don't know they're there. You go out and they're like standing like right
No,
there.
I'm not. Like I said, I'm not going out.
I'm not going out.
Crack door. Check it in the morning and daylight.
Why are you here?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. You shoot one, the other two's going to leave.
Yeah.
Oh, we made a mistake.
This is not what we signed up for.
On that vein, was it Your Next? Where they flip it around on them with they've got the bunny masks and stuff.
Yes, that was Your Next.
And come to find out that girl's dad was a prepper, so
Yes.
she's like nailing
Yeah.
nails to boards
Yes.
and stuff.
But, I mean, even in the same vein as that movie, I know you've seen it because we talked about it earlier this week, Hush.
Yeah, Hush is really good.
Hush is a movie that is shot from the point of view of a deaf woman.
Yeah.
So it's so eerie not hearing anything
Well,
throughout
that's
her
like-
scenes.
Well, you jump in and out, right? Like you'll have
Yeah.
some times where you're from the outside perspective to kind of figure out what's going on, but then you're back in her point of view, and it's just like, whoa.
yeah, and you don't hear when this guy's walking up and knocking on the door.
Well, that's like what's the movie? It just has come out in the last couple of years. Where they can't talk. If they talk, it
Oh,
brings
the
on-
John Krasinski, the Quiet Place.
Yeah, quite
Yeah.
close.
That movie in itself, it goes back, and I put that along, even though it's actual monsters that they're having to hide from. But I put that in the same line as I do Stranger Things, because the fact is, here's the thing: when you take something like that, and like you take away all the dialogue that would have been between the two, between the strangers and their victims, you take away the dialogue that you would have had in Quiet Place. It puts you in your own mind.
Well, they did do sign language.
Yeah, but it was there's very little talking. There's very little noise. Period.
Yeah.
So it puts you in your own mind, and your own mind creates a lot of stuff while you're watching those type of movies to really mess with your head.
Like, I don't even think they
not
could
just
use
that.
forks and stuff. They was having to eat like wraps.
Yeah, I
because
mean, they couldn't make any noise because the monster would pinpoint them.
Well, not just that point of it, removing the dialogue, is it makes it such a better movie because it has what I like to call the Halloween effect, or the Mike Myers effect. He doesn't talk.
Yeah.
Just like the strangers, they don't talk. Quiet Place, they don't talk. All of your acting is done through facial expression and actual motion, which is a totally different experience because you can't use a word to convey an emotion at that point. You use a head tilt.
I was say, except for Michael Myers' case, where you don't even get expression, you get all this emotion from
A blank face.
Yeah.
But and going with the Quiet Place too. What's the guy's name? Played in The Office.
John Krasinski.
Dude should play in more movies.
Yeah, no, he was amazing.
He's a wonderful actor.
He's in like some Navy SEAL type stuff now.
Yeah, but I mean, he needs to really branch out and do a lot of movie acting because he's really good at what he does. I mean,
No, he's an incredible actor. In the Office, he kind of got to stretch his legs a little bit, but really didn't. But A Quiet Place really pushed it out there.
Another monster movie with another amazing actor. Signs.
I don't know that I've ever seen
Mel Gibson.
Mel
What you're
Gibson.
talking about?
He was a conspiracy theorist and ended up being aliens and crop circles and.
He's got a dead
hats.
wife.
Yeah, tinfoil hats and all that business.
It's one of those M. Night Shyamalan.
By the way, I've had many comments from our conspiracy theory episode
Oh, have we?
and your headgear.
Oh, did we? Did we? I haven't checked them yet. I've been trying to give it a couple weeks.
Well, this all just comes straight to me. They would come to me and say, "What's he got on his head?" I said, "Don't ask."
If y'all gonna be into conspiracy theories, you gotta learn your stuff. Tinfoil hats keep you safe from aliens.
But you had a tinfoil
And Big
headband,
Brother.
so all thing you're protecting is this.
No, see, my psychological waves, they're reading my mind, but that headband keeps them in. See, y'all don't know. You gotta understand.
Here's the key point: is he don't know.
He just that's all the tinfoil he had left at home. That's what he brought.
I had to fight to make that thing sit on my head too. It was a little too small.
Okay. Scary movies.
Okay.
We've talked about prequels and sequels and all these things.
Threequels.
Favorite scene?
Scene?
Like from a movie.
Yeah, the thing that you remember the most from a scary movie. I mean, the one thing that you're like, I know we've talked about the movie in general, the whole production, but they can be little scenes that takes place.
Oh man, this one's easy. Saw 1. Very end. The corpse stands up.
Oh yeah,
And
that's kind of
it's
creepy.
Kramer
That's kind of
laying there
creepy.
the entire movie.
Yeah,
They're
that
working
is
through
creepy.
this little trap and everything, and he's laid in there, just laying there.
That is creepy.
And he stands up, walks over to the door, and slams it shut and lets him die.
Yeah,
I have two.
All right.
Number one, and it is number one. We're gonna need a bigger boat.
That is a good one. That's a good. That's a good line. That is
We're
that
gonna
is a
need a
good
bigger
line. If you're wondering, Jaws.
Yeah.
No.
And number two, you are one ugly mother.
That's good too.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite rebound of that is, I think in 2, it says it. You are one.
Yeah, yes, it does. They go back, they revisit it. I'm gonna steal this from your mama. She said it today.
What you got?
Shining. Jack Nicholson
Oh,
sticking
yeah.
his head through the door. Here's Johnny. You know that you know, you go back and look throughout top scenes. You Google it. That's always in the top 10.
Yeah.
That movie needs more, and it doesn't follow the book. We talked about this just a minute ago. But for what it is, with it being Stephen King and with Kubrick, but with Jack Nicholson's performance in that movie, it just needs a lot more love than it gets because he does so
Well, that's what I
well.
told. We were actually discussing it at lunch today. We was having lunch and we were talking about it. His wife is going to read the book. She got the book.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, of course they're readers.
Yeah.
I don't read. We've got newer technology. It's called movies. I don't have to turn pages. I don't have to fight sleep. I'm awake. I can watch it. And I told her, I said, you know, everybody always talks about, well, the book's always better. The book's always better. That is, in my opinion, in this case, due to Jack Nicholson's, and I'm not a big Jack Nicholson fan right now, but due to his ability to portray this character, the movie is as good or better than the book.
Well, you get to see, it's not even just that he plays crazy well, right? It's the fact that we actually get to see this character lose his mind.
To basically disintegrate from
Yes.
start to finish. you
And
know?
one of my favorite things I've seen, and it's such a good scene, Jim Carrey goes through and like redoes some of the scenes dressed up like him just to show like the acting styles, and where he's in there with the typewriter and he's talking to his wife, and you just see the facial expressions and just the way he's just being mean to her, and it's just like so good. And then how he would psych himself up, like they it's like a behind the scenes where when he's going to cut into the door, the way he would psych himself up to get ready for that, like slapping himself in the face and shaking his head, and it's just so good.
Here's a movie genre that most people don't talk about much, but it gets really big around Halloween. Because, you know, there are some people out there who don't like scary movies. Dark comedies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
no,
black
they're-
comedy's good.
We watched
No.
one just a second ago.
Well, yes, to an extent.
Yeah.
Now, of the dark comedies, what's y'all's favorite one?
So I'm going with dark comedy in the context that it is scary before it's funny. Because for me, scary movie is funnier than it is scary, right? So I don't consider it dark comedy. And so for scary more than funny, it's a close run. I gotta say Texas Chainsaw 2. They really lean into the funny aspect because they wanted to do something experimental, and you have Bill Masterson, I think is his last name, huge horror actor, playing Chop Top. He's a Vietnam vet. He's got a
No.
coat hanger. He's scratching his metal plate in his head. Just crazy.
I just remember that movie from that scene.
Yeah.
I have watched that movie. I remember that scene. I started thinking, that's so nasty.
you cut me on my plate.
Edward Scissorhands.
That's a good one. That's a very good
well, you
one.
know, I'm a Johnny Depp fan
Yeah.
anyway. I've always enjoyed a lot of his stuff.
That movie
Just
makes
about
me
all
so
of it.
sad.
But I mean, it is, I guess you'd say, the very definition of a dark comedy, and you know the way it was shot, the way it was written, his portrayal of it.
As of right now, it's actually listed as fantasy on
Really?
Netflix. Yeah, fantasy movie.
But yeah, I mean that one we just watched.
Series of Unfortunate Events.
Yeah,
Count Olaf and
but with
the Baudelaire.
Jim Carrey, you know,
Yeah.
version of it. You know, that's you know you talk about Carrey, and once again, Carrey right now is not one of my favorite actors just because of his political stances, but you can't take away the fact the man's talented beyond. He's as talented as Tin Men.
Yeah.
No,
You know, and his ability to do things.
Well, you know, he's very Johnny Depp-esque. Is if when he gets in the makeup and he's
the character.
he becomes the
He's
character.
the character.
Well, he's got that animated style is the big thing. 'Cause, you know, he did stand up in his younger years, and that's when I was watching like throwbacks and stuff like that.
Dude.
And just how different people took his stand up because he utilized his just his body and just his mannerisms.
I'm gonna tell you, and if you haven't seen it, and I hope you have, if you have not seen it, go or YouTube it, whatever. Jim Carrey on Mad TV
Mm-hmm.
as Fire Marshal Bill.
Yes.
Yes.
That, if you want to see what if you want to see the early years of Jim Carrey and realize, okay, if this guy it doesn't become the Jim Carrey we know now, somebody missed a chance, because when you watch him play that character,
Yeah.
and the very, like you said, the very animated style that he does in it, it's amazing to watch him. But if you've never seen it, like I said, YouTube it and watch him play as Fire Marshal Bill.
All right. So here's mine, and I doubt that either one of y'all have actually seen this movie. How to Be a Serial Killer.
I have not seen that.
I have not seen this movie.
It has Matthew Gray Gubler in it, which is one of my favorite actors ever. He plays Spencer on Criminal Minds, and he's been taken under his wing by this he's a very shy guy. He always has the killer fantasies, and he's taken under his wing by this very charismatic businessman who's
A serial killer?
And he's teaching him. It's like lessons in how to be a serial killer. He is teaching a prodigy how to take up his mantle, and it's funny, but it's also so dark in the fact that they're just glossing over the fact that every lesson he gets is how to kill someone.
I got to change mine. Texas
No,
Chainsaw.
can't.
No, I have to
Can't
because I just
do
saw
it,
this
can't
movie.
do it.
Texas Chainsaw 2 is fantastic black comedy. It was one of the first experiments in a black comedy.
Dark comedy.
I forgot. It's the same thing. I forgot this movie even existed. It's one of the few movies I sought out on Blu-ray. American Psycho.
Oh,
that
was a
movie
good
is
one.
good.
That was a good one. Yeah, that was a good one.
And his craziness that Christian Bale does is just hilarious.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen that one, that's another great one to watch. It's these two redneck hillbillies out in the woods, and these college kids are going camping for spring break or some crap, and the college kids keep killing themselves.
And they think that Tucker and Dale are the ones doing it.
Yeah, they think that Tucker and Dale are the ones killing them, and they're just constantly trying to save these kids, and they're out of their own idiocy, they keep killing themselves.
That's got
It's got, what's his name?
Dr. Cox in it, doesn't it?
I don't know about that one, but it's got the quintessential German. Oh, what's his name?
That's a title to have. I'm the quintessential German.
What is his name? He's in A Knight's Tale. Alan Tudyk.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I call him the quintessential German or not.
Well, I mean, a lot of his roles are Germanic roles.
Yeah,
Because
Cox
he's naturally blonde haired.
Cox isn't in Tucker and Dale, but Cox is in something like Tucker and Dale. That's that genre of comedy.
Okay, switch gears real quick. We're getting close to
Yeah.
time. The worst horror movie you ever watched. I'm talking about one of those that you was like, if I hadn't have paid to watch this, I would leave.
Oh,
this piece of
that's-
trash.
That's an easy one for me. That is an easy one for me. As Above, So Below.
I love that.
It was so boring.
I love
There
that.
was nothing about it that made me happy. I mean, even at the end when they're like, "Oh, we've tunneled all the way down. Oh, we're in hell." I was like,
How did you get there? Yeah, I get that, but yeah,
No.
I love that movie. What is mine? There's a few that I could think of, but I'm trying to think of the worst that I was just like, what was it? What did I just watch?
"This is your question. You don't even have an answer for it yet, do you?"
I do. I actually do.
But yeah, no, the As Above, So Below, just to vamp and feel while they're doing this. I hated it, but it is critically acclaimed. There are so many people, just like with TJ, there are so many people that just absolutely love this movie, and I cannot stand this movie.
I gotta Google because I've got a few that.
Mine? Return of the Living Dead.
Return of the Living Dead, I never watched it.
Don't.
Don't.
If you've watched the original Night of the Living Dead,
Yeah.
if you watched the remake of Night of the Living Dead,
Yeah.
don't watch Return of the Living Dead.
Does it just ruin all of it?
It's just, it's terrible. I mean, the effects terrible, acting terrible, scare factor terrible. I mean, I went to the movie theater and watched this, and I'm like, at that time, it was like $5 to get in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I could get my $5 back,
I'd leave.
I would leave. The only good thing about this whole trip was the popcorn.
Oh, I know one, and it was good. I will say this about the movie: it was good until they did the worst thing they could have done, and showed me the killer, and it ruined the movie for me. And that movie is Mama. Hate that movie.
Oh, Mama.
Hate that movie.
Well, see, and here's my problem. I don't know if I'm not, by no means a screenwriter or anything like that, but a lot of the movies that are coming out now, you can guess the entire movie 5 minutes into it.
Yep.
I mean, they're so,
The plot is laid out for you.
And that's the ones that always give me is the ones that at the end they twist it in such a way that it doesn't end up being the way that you expect it to be, and those become great films.
Actually, no. Again, not even as bad, because I just remembered the worst one. Oculus. Worst movie I've ever seen in my life is Oculus. It is so bad because of how stupid they are.
You didn't like Oculus?
I hated that movie.
I liked Oculus.
Because of how stupid they are. We've got a mirror, and it's the devil, and we want to prove that our parents... No, screw your parents, screw their innocence. You're not in prison. Get rid of it. They even build a rig specifically designed to get rid of it. And then they screw around for 2 hours, and they end up dying to their own rig when they could have set the rig up and just left. Just walked away. I also have a problem with the fact that it was a boat anchor on like a piece of metal pole, and there's absolutely no way it would have did what it like. It would have killed her, but it wouldn't have did what it did.
Oh, you haven't already impaled her skull?
Yes, it would have absolutely just went.
All right. Quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Scariest zombie
Scariest zombie?
from a movie?
Oh, the 28-week zombies for
Yes.
sure.
I don't know. Well, okay, I'm conflicted. Is it the 28-week zombies, or is it World War Z zombies?
It's neither. It's neither at all.
I Am Legend zombies?
Nope.
Or the Contagion zombies.
No. It's the Resident Evil zombies. Those jokers can use guns.
Well, that is true.
well, the special ones can use guns, but I will say this: the crazy zombies.
Crazy zombies were real deal.
Because all of them
Yeah.
could use guns
Yeah.
and pitchforks and trucks.
Yeah.
But now, the I Am Legend zombies?
No, they were pretty
They were
scary.
vampires, though.
They weren't vampires.
They were vampires. That was the whole thing. Is they were vampires.
They are not vampires.
They're vampires.
They-
yeah.
They are, because they couldn't come out in daylight.
He was trying to cure them. Vampires.
They didn't have no fangs. They ain't no vampires.
They were vampires. They were bald vampires.
They were not vampires.
Yes, they were.
No, they were not. We putting this to Google. Y'all hang on. We're putting this to Google. I don't believe that for 1 minute.
Yeah. Because there's actually an alternate scene where he makes peace with him.
Yeah, there is. Because the big reason that they had any problem with him is because he kidnapped his wife.
Yeah, he's like, I can fix you, and like, don't care, want her back. He's like, fair
Yeah.
enough.
Just take her. I'm not going to throw my body at you with a hand grenade in my chest.
Yeah.
Do I need to Google this? You want to work the Google machine?
Oh my goodness, you're right.
Yeah, vampires.
Richard Masterson's novel, I Am Legend, The Monsters Are Vampires.
Yeah.
It started off as a deadly virus released into the world by scientists.
Well, it was supposed to be a cure for like cancer, and
Yeah.
it was released too early, and it turned everybody into vampires.
They come out at night to hunt, and they both feed on blood.
Which is actually, that's a remake, the Will Smith one. There's actually like 2 or 3 other ones.
Well, I mean, it was a graphic novel at first, was it not?
A novella. Or an actual novel, I think, actually. But yeah, those are vampires. I will say, though,
there's a novel.
the World War Z zombies are pretty scary because they're like ants.
I could say that was what made them scary. Was even in all the other movies that we've seen,
Yeah, they
zombie
just-
movies,
they
they
pushed
were a
themselves-
bunch of them, but they didn't work together in a way and they did. It was almost like an ant colony the way they worked their stuff together.
You know, every other instance of zombies, they push themselves against an immovable object till they die and the immovable object collapses.
Yeah.
Whereas with them, they were just like, nope, we're going to climb each other.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going, okay, you just stay here and we'll just build a ladder.
That's like, where was it? Like in the Middle East? Like, this is the safest city in the world. There's no
It
way
was
they can
Israel.
get in.
Yeah.
Israel, and they've got that wall, and they're just like, we're coming up the wall. I always forget that that's a movie, and that's where the game comes from, because they're terrifying in that game, too.
Is
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, but because they use the same
They use the same
too.
philosophy, yeah.
The when you release the hordes, they use the same philosophy of
And
climbing.
it's
and
thousands
running.
upon thousands of them, yeah. Walking Dead zombies aren't that scary, and that's the
No.
point, because the whole thing with Walking Dead zombies is the beginning was supposed to be about the zombies, and then later on, it's just like, this is life now.
Well, no, it's the survivors. It's the fight between the survivors now. Which would, in honesty, if that really happened in real life, that's the way it would be.
Yeah.
We would treat zombies like we do wildlife. Now,
Well, I mean, that's the thing with it. I think the whole thing with The Walking Dead, in my opinion, is it's a very good metaphor for stalk predation, which is what early humans did before we developed tools. We would literally just walk you to death.
Yeah.
And I think that's horrifying in itself.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with The Walking Dead is, like, the whole point of The Walking Dead is that we are The Walking Dead.
No.
yeah, it's not the actual zombies. It's the it's the actual ones that survived it that live.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, and that's the whole. You're right. When it first started, it was the zombies. But then after
Few years.
the few years, and those that survived became stronger, became smarter, became tribal. Then it became against tribe, and like I said, you treat the zombies like you would if you was in Africa and they were tigers and lions. You treat them the same way that you do. And the only difference is they can't move that fast. So I mean, that's what gets me, that whole premise with Walking Dead, which that has way outplayed its lifespan.
Yeah, it should have gone away.
But, like,
But
the 28 series are scary because those jokers can swim
And they're fast.
and they're fast. They'll sprint after you. I don't know. That's a toss-up. Tell us what you think, because that's like a handful of them that are really scary to me. Because, like, Resident Evil, I would almost agree with you on Resident Evil, but the zombies themselves aren't that scary in Resident Evil. It's the experimental zombies that are scary, like the dogs
Well, I
with the
mean,
heads
they
that split
were
open.
all experimental zombies.
Yeah, but I'm talking about, like, the Nemesis and...
Yeah. Which, that's the thing, if you want to actually delve into the zombies themselves, you don't even want to watch the movies, you want to jump into the games.
Yeah.
Because one of the worst ones is the Ouroboros virus.
Yeah.
From 6, when they all become this giant living snake type thing.
Yeah.
It's horrifying.
Or the one, what is it, starting in 4, where it's plants, and after you kill them, the plant comes out, and it's like a friggin', like... You know what I'm talking about?
No, I know what you're talking about.
Like
I
a
don't
snake
remember what
head,
it's
but it's
called.
a plant.
No, I don't remember what it's
Los
called.
Plagas, something like that.
Yeah. It's something like that.
Okay, last question.
Okay.
Y'all kind of segued into it, and I'm gonna throw it to y'all because this is gonna be y'all's wheelhouse because it's not as much mine as y'all's too. Scariest video game.
Scariest video game.
Because if a lot of you don't know, we are gamers. We
Yeah.
play a lot of
play
video
quite a bit of
games. But
Honestly, me and TJ are really the ones that are really into solo video games.
yeah, I mean y'all are more
Yeah.
into that style of gaming.
I'm so into it. I honestly, there is a scariest, but I have to do a top 3. I really do. Alien Isolation.
Yeah.
It is a smart xenomorph. The way they do the AI, it learns how you play to attack you.
Now is this what platform?
Xbox One, PlayStation 4.
Okay, yeah.
And
Tell
PC.
tell the platform in case somebody wants to play.
Number 2, The Evil Within / Evil Within 2, also PS4, Xbox One. They're so good. They're made by, I want to say the same people that make Resident Evil, but they're psychological horror. Very, very good. Scariest video game of all time. You can play it on Xbox One now because it was remastered for Xbox 360. Originally, I want to say it was a PS2 game. Silent Hill 2. Specifically 2. The other Silent Hills are good, but Silent Hill 2 is the best one. Premise of Silent Hill 2, you're a guy, your wife was in the hospital, she dies in the hospital, you get a letter from her after her death saying, meet me in Silent Hill. You get to Silent Hill, there's fog everywhere, there's these weird creatures, and you're trying to find your wife, and it's so good, and Pyramid Head is in Silent Hill 2, and if you don't know what Pyramid Head is, look up Pyramid Head, and you'll understand. It's so good, and it's so scary. Because it's an actual horror game. A lot of problems with video games is they do horror action. This is horror. You are not supposed to fight the monsters. You're supposed to run away from the monsters.
I will do a top 3. The Resident Evil series in a whole.
As a whole,
Yeah. The series. Reason being, it is one of those, like he was talking about, it is a survival horror or horror action type game. It is, to an extent, it's a survival type game too.
Well, except for 1 and 7. 7's like,
Yeah. Well, but that's the thing with it. You've got guns. You've
Yeah,
got the ability
yeah.
to upgrade your weapons. You've got the ability to upgrade your characters. You are supposed to fight back.
Yeah.
But the reason being that I included on the list is that it changed the horror genre in video games.
Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, Devil May Cry was supposed to be a Resident Evil game.
Yeah, I mean, it completely changed everything. Number 2.
Wait, platforms?
Oh, Xbox One, PS4.
Going all the way back
Yeah.
to like PlayStation 1.
Yep. PlayStation 1 through PS4, or through PS5 at this point. You know, even though they're not out yet, they're going to be on there.
Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 had tank controls. They're so old.
Yeah,
Like you couldn't walk and turn at the same time.
You couldn't even you couldn't walk and turn at the same time. You also couldn't control the camera.
Yeah.
Like it was
It
crazy.
was a fix, like you would walk into a room and say the camera was like in that corner. That's what you saw in that room until
Yeah, and
you rounded a
it
corner.
honestly made it even worse because you couldn't control how you saw things.
Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't see your point of view.
But all the Xboxes, all the PlayStations, and PC, of course. Outlast.
Oh, Outlast is really good.
Outlast is another one of those. You're walking around with a video camera. You do not fight these zombies.
Yeah, it's not even
You-
like Silent
well,
Hill where you get like a board.
No, you are walking around an insane asylum. You do not fight.
You have a video. That's all you get. You don't even get a weapon.
Yeah, you carry around a video camera with night vision on it, and your batteries are constantly running out.
Oh yeah, that's right. If you run out of batteries, you can't see.
Yeah, you can't see at all. You walk into a pitch black room and you lose battery, you're done.
Yeah.
You are going to die.
Yeah, you're feeling your way through by
And-
like soundscape. Yep.
And you run from these things, you're vaulting over ledges, you're vaulting over, turned over desks and stuff. And then the big guy starts heading down the hallway, and you better hit a room and hide in a locker because he's coming for you. And if he sees you go in that locker, he's about to beat you to death.
Well, it's not even zombies. It's like crazy people.
Yeah, it's crazy
There's like
people.
dudes walking around with cleavers and stuff.
It's well, not only is it just like crazy people, it's crazy people who had experiments done on them.
Yeah.
Like it's a whole thing.
This
It's
is like a World War II
horrifying.
type asylum where
Yeah.
they don't follow ethical codes.
And PC, that one's available on PC.
Yeah.
It's not available on any other console, to my knowledge.
I think maybe Xbox now, but
I'm not 100% sure. Number 1, available on all platforms. And I will explain it because it doesn't seem like it's scary. Dead by Daylight.
It's really good. I love
The
that
reason I say that
Oh,
the reason he hates Dead by Daylight. It is a multiplayer game, and that's what makes it horrifying.
oh my
You are
gosh.
playing against someone else who has an actual brain that is learning you as
But the thing
you learn
is,
them.
I don't know. Listen, it is a good game.
Yeah.
It is a good game. I hate the game because I spend 95% of my time dead.
So the thing with
because he's not good at
The
it.
thing with Dead by Daylight, for those of you that don't know, it is 4v1. So there's a team of 4, either random or you and 3 friends,
that are actual people.
That are actual
You're not
people.
playing AI. You're actually playing people.
versus the one. It's another real person, and they play a killer. And they're
Mm-hmm.
killers. There's a whole list of killers that Dead by Daylight made. There's also killers that Dead by Daylight has worked with. Developers, licensed developers.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got Freddy, you've got Michael Myers, you have Ghostface, you have Leatherface,
Jigsaw.
you have Amanda, but
Well,
you
you
have
have-
Jigsaw,
you have Amanda.
and you have Pyramid Head now.
Yeah, you got Pyramid Head in there. And I'll tell you right now, the worst killer to run up against, because it is the actual most horrifying experience, Mike Myers.
It is.
Ghostface scares me more because it's the same premise, but he can crouch.
See, it doesn't, though, because I feel like Mike Myers walking so slowly, making next to no noise. You've got this heartbeat monitor that starts going off when certain when killers get close to you.
Yeah.
Mike Myers is like a meter compared to everyone else's 40 meters.
Yeah, you'll be in. So you get into a chase, and that's how you know you're being chased. Is that you hear this heartbeat in the music? Well, Michael Myers' distance is so short that you'd be like running away from him, like, oh, I got away, and then turn around and he's right there.
Yeah, he's standing right beside you. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, Ghostface scared me because of the one time that we were all playing together. We're working on a generator, and I'm like, I'm looking for him. I don't see him. And then I turn around, and about the time I turn around, all 3 of us pop this ability he has that can let him just knock you down instantly and grab you. And I look, and he's standing behind Jordan, just watching us do this generator, and no one saw him.
No.
like from me to the camera, behind Jordan, just watching us do this generator.
And I will say this, being a guy that doesn't play a lot of horror type video games, not a lot of solo type video games, there is a fear factor in it. I mean, I the times that I did play, I had jump scares. I had my heart and adrenaline getting up, running from the killers and stuff. It's just like I die. I'm not good at running away.
I like to shoot him.
I like to shoot them.
Well, and that's the thing with it. Just like with Ghostface, the reason that I don't think he's the scariest is because if you do catch him, you just sit there and stare at him.
Yeah.
You stare at him, stare at him, stare at him, and he's almost nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as you're watching him, he is nothing. Unlike Mike Myers, who doesn't care if you're watching him.
Or even one of the scariest in terms of jump scares is a character called the Nurse, and she floats around. It's like a World War II type nurse with a bag on her head. She can teleport.
Yeah, and she will just be standing in front of you, and you'll never know it.
All right, y'all want my scariest video game
Scariest video game ever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Came out on Atari. E.T. Phone Home.
Actually, Atari 2600 had a Texas Chainsaw Massacre game.
Did not know that.
Yeah, it's like a blue pixel and it's Leatherface, and you're like running around killing yellow pixels that are like the people.
No.
And there's like a really ridiculously irritating high pitched like "ee!" It's like even higher pitched than that, and it's supposed to be like the scream whenever you find them.
Well, the reason why I say that, you can look it up. The Atari version of E.T. Phone Home, the E.T. game, was considered to be the worst video game ever made. I mean, Pong got more votes than it did. But yeah, that was it.
That's funny. All right, y'all. Well, I think we've reached time at this point.
Yes.
So,
This was supposed to be like a horror thing, but it kind of ended up being an everything thing, because if we talk about movies, we're going to talk about Star Wars.
Well, I mean, we got off a little bit on it, but for the most part, we did stay within the,
the confines.
Halloween, horror type stuff coming up.
But leave all of your answers to these questions in the comments. We love to hear it.
Yeah, your favorites and scariest and all that kind
Least
of stuff.
favorites, least
favorites.
And if you're a gamer and you've played any of these games, tell us how to beat them.
Yeah.
Tell me how I can hide.
At some point coming up, we're definitely going to do ghosts, because our home state has 13 ghosts. 13 big ghosts.
No. And we're surrounded by Georgia and the Carolinas and everything else.
Which are also supposed to be super haunted.
Yeah. But, as we approach Halloween, we'll do more Halloween things.
I may carve a pumpkin on camera, who knows?
No, next week we go into Christmas. This is Walmart.
Gonna hang a tree.
We're gonna decorate a tree right here on the table.
We're going to decorate one of those upside down trees on the ceiling.
Get the tree of forgotten ornaments
Oh
out.
man, don't start that. Don't get me started on the tree of forgotten ornaments. It's been retired and never be brought back.
Yeah. But, like, subscribe, share with your friends.
Share.
Share's the biggest one.
Yeah. We keep gaining a couple subscribers at a time, so we know that y'all are at least doing a little bit of y'all's part.
And listen, y'all, we get notifications when people view our page, when they view our videos, and we're getting a lot more people viewing than we're getting subscribing.
Well, maybe y'all don't like it, and that's fine.
No, we don't. Subscribe anyway. That way you can comment and tell us how terrible we are. And you'll have a voice in it. It's kind of one of those things, don't gripe if you don't vote. Don't gripe if you don't subscribe. So subscribe, and so we can get to 100, so we can do our special thing. I mean, because I'm looking forward to that. I want to do that.
I really am too.
I want to be able to do that giveaway. I think it's going to be fun because we're going to go into a big box store and with video cameras and have them tell us we can't video, and we're going to do it secretly, and our wives are going to help us, and so it's going to be fun. So get us to 100 so we can do that, and we can give y'all something. We can give back for the first time. That's the big thing. We want to give back.
Yeah, like we wouldn't be here without y'all, right? I mean, we could mess around with the video camera all day, but at the end of the day, if you aren't watching, then there we are.
So with that,
I've been Jordan.
It's been TJ.
I'm Pops. Did I do it like I did last time?
Yeah.
Cha-ching, ching. Woo!